My name is Troy Gilton. I'm doing my discussion in my class, Discussion 2, EDU 645. My instructor is Dr. Darrell Rice. There were several questions, many questions that were asked in my discussion that after reviewing the video um, on Ms. Mary uh, Vaginas, who was a 7th grade teacher in the video. Um, One question that was asked was, how was the teacher able to assess for the ultimate goal of students reading, writing, thinking, speaking critically about global topics? I think one thing she did well was uh, when she had the students do um, some work on West African kingdoms. One thing that she did well was she used learning menus that really was modeled around, it was taken from the idea of restaurant menus, and she broke them down into different stages, different phases. Uh, and in doing that, the learning menus is designed to accomplish different learning activities, which is differentiating instructions for various different learning styles that the students have. Um, and I think that was one way uh, to answer this first question. Is that she used that model um, to talk about a global um, topic with her students. How does her lesson show that she is preparing her students for multiple assessment types? I think one way that it showed is I think that in preparing the students was through appetizers that she uh, that she used, which was the first course where students chose an appetizer. She gave them the opportunity to choose an appetizer, and in this activity, students' uh, literacy skills was being addressed uh, within that appetizer activity. And what the students would do, they would have to complete the appetizer and then bring it to the teachers to teach it for a grade, which at that point would be, um, uh, it can probably be either formative assessment if she's doing it to get feedback to see what the students know, or for a final grade, which would be summative assessment. But I think in this case, because it's the first phase, I think it would be more formal uh, with the intent of getting feedback. Uh, the After the student complete that appetizer, the student would then move on to the entree, which at that stage, that it provides a deeper understanding of content. Once the student feels that they understand the content, then they would have to quiz out. Um, but students cannot move on until the next chapter, until the student cannot move on to the next chapter until they successfully complete the quiz. And I'm sure that they would have to at least make a certain percentage, preferably maybe 80%, before they can definitely move on to the next phase. And I thought that was a way of showing that Ms. Mary used multiple assessment types for her students. And the next question would be, how does student choice play a part of her differentiated instruction? I think one way that it played a part is when the students were doing the different entrees. I think there were entree 1 and entree 2 and entree 3. And I think that's where it gave the students an opportunity to choose um, which differentiated learning style they would use to write about the West African kingdoms. I think at that point, I think that would be where the students, where choice played a role in having the students choose where differentiated instructions took place. And for example, one thing that they used was graphic organizers, which allowed the students to paraphrase the main ideas of their writing. Then there were entree two, where websites were in play, where students would have to follow the basic structure of a real website, and this helps the student guide their writing. Then in entree three, students would use travel brochures, which required that students persuade the people to visit the West African kingdoms by them using their own words to explain the content in which that at that point was a sign of mastery. Students would explain in their own words about the West African kingdoms. So I think those three phases were an opportunity to prove that that's where choice would play a role in that aspect. The final one is share one new idea from this lesson and how you could use it to modify it for your own instruction. I think the one thing that I definitely would do, I would probably do continuous formative assessment up until the final phase, which is where the students choose dessert, which is the final phase of the chapter of what they were taught to take their final test. But I think I would get much more in depth with formal assessment with the students. I think after learning a lot from this class, formative assessment is really the key to preparing the students, because what you're doing is you're teaching them a topic of a content or part of a material, and then you're either having them doing a quiz, writing a journal or a sentence, or even doing a pretest to see what the kids know, and with the intent of getting feedback to prepare me as a teacher, as an instructor, to better teach the student, to prepare the student that's not really grasping the concept to have finding ways to be able to help the student learn what he needs to learn. So formative assessment would be something that I would rather do constantly, and I probably would do it in using the three entrees, and maybe modifying it with some other ways of differentiating models that can be useful, such as the exiting, the fist of five, the exiting phase, and many other ways that can probably utilized that can kind of correlate with formative assessment. And I think that would be all of my discussion, and I hope that everybody enjoyed. And thank you all for listening in. Thank you.